I am here with the greatest wrestler of all time, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Rick, how are you doing today?
I'm great, and that introduction is I'll take that any day of the week. I'm doing great, thank you.
Yeah, well, there's so much to get into. SummerSlam was just last night when we're recording this. Your presence was a big factor of the Randy Orton Drew McIntyre match. Real quick, let's just get into that segment with Randy Orton. I saw Orton in an interview saying that you had ad-libbed your lines when you took the mic. That Orton was saying that wasn't supposed to happen.
No, I just did my own thing, and I hope that it's hard. It's just hard to it can be 1,000 outlines that that people will hand you and suggest. But at the end of the day, I think they trust me enough now that I'm supposedly more mature that I'm going to deliver something heartfelt. And he at home, and I told him, I said, I didn't tell him what to say. I said, this is designed to get this whole whatever we're doing here, Randy. It's designed to enhance, what you're doing right now in the business. And I've known him so long. He's in the groove, and it's a groove that very few people ever get in. You can be great for a long time, and then you take that step where you're not just great. You're, whatever the next level is. You know what I mean? Because he's always been good, but I mean, good doesn't, where he is now, and which is at a level that very few people ever get to. And last night, anyway, he's at a level that very few people get to ever. And I'm talking about, and I've seen more people than anybody. So, and last night they delivered. What a match! I mean, talk about two heavyweights going at it and having I was thinking to myself, boy, this is so damn good. There is no winner, there is no loser. Just an unbelievable, and I like the ending. That's how Kerry Von Erich beat me in Dallas. When you have a match that good, people aren't waking up today going, they don't matter. It doesn't matter who won or lost.
Right.
We as fans won.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the game. God, what a match they had. So, I just can't, once again, WWE, brought it, but the people involved, not just Randy and Drew, who were magnificent, but Asuka, Sasha. I mean, I hate leaving people off the list. I love the stuff with Bray and Braun, and then to have Roman come out. I mean, man, that was, here he is. The dude's back, man. And yeah. We're all sitting here this morning. My wife's asking me, you think he's going to stay around for a while? Or was that just one night? I said, I have no idea. But I can guarantee everybody's going to be watching tonight and Friday to see what he's doing, because he just brings that star power, and he looked fantastic. And he just brings that, if the one thing I like about Roman, besides being the handsomest wrestler of all time, which he is, he brings a star power look to the show. He is, he's a world-class D1 athlete, which I like the kids that have done well in college. And I have so much respect for that. But to take it to this level, come out, leave the Shield, and everybody kind of went their own way, and to see him come last night and deliver, and deliver at the last possible moment, the highest spot on the show. I also have to say that Dominic, changing the subject to Dominic and Seth, I mean, Jesus, that kid, he brought it. That's a lot of pressure. Rey Mysterio is, one of a kind, as we all know. But his son, I mean, he showed up last night and he performed at a phenomenal level.
Yeah.
Once again, no winner, no loser.
Right.
Dominic was just absolutely, off the hook. And I don't want to leave anybody out, but it was just a great show. But the Dominic thing with Seth was great. But I thought that's one of their best shows they've had in a long time. And I thought it was absolutely fabulous.
I agree. I thought it was their best show since the pandemic started. I thought it was a really great show.
Most assuredly. And, out of this, Sasha put Asuka in a place that she has deserved to be for a long time.
Right.
And Sasha did it with style. And, that's what you expect from your top people. A lot of people, they begrudgingly put themselves in that scenario. I mean, it couldn't have been better for Asuka, and now she's on a level playing field with all of them. So,
right. Yeah. You mentioned Wendy asking about Roman. How is Wendy doing after her battle with coronavirus?
She's fine. It's she was really sick. She got pneumonia, and she has a pre-existing condition as well. And I'm not going to get into the if, ands, or buts about that. But she's back. She's strong, and she's bossing me around.
Well,
she got me talking to you today.
Yeah. And happy anniversary. That's coming up tomorrow when we're recording.
That's a miracle, man. 8 years. Jeez. Nate, you boy, under the thumb.
I know. What's happened? That's great. No, that's great.
What's causing all this? Yeah. She went through a lot, but she's up and running. And I'd have to say she's at, are you at 100% yet? I'm still 100%. 100%. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. We were all thinking about her, so that's great to hear.
Yeah, I know. We got the outcry, or not outcry, the what? Oh, the outpour of people that text me and her, and it was very nice. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was it's appreciated. Yeah, and she appreciates it, as do we all. Anytime, it's nice to know that people think about you, and I found that out firsthand when I was really sick. But this was she didn't go out of her way to announce that she had it. It was one of her family members. So she wasn't seeking any attention, but when it got out, and you can't deny something like that. And anyway, we're both thankful that she's well, and thank you to all the people that reached out. So,
absolutely. So talking about SummerSlam, so Bruce Pritchard and Conrad Thompson, your son-in-law, they've discussed this a few times, where you were actually in the plans to be in the main event of the first SummerSlam against Randy Savage. How far along did those talks get?
All right up to, I had a couple of days to make up my mind. Yeah, you're talking about with me and Randy in 88, right?
Right, yeah, 88.
Yeah, I keep thinking it was 86, 88. And when it came right down to it, I just couldn't get myself to leave. It's not that here's my problem, and we're going to talk about stuff today that, that has affected my life. I guess Vince's birthday makes me think about it, I mean, I had just, the thing with the Crockett's and all that, and me being so close to Jimmy, and all of a sudden, this is right before the sale, of course, the TV. I could see things falling apart, but I was so attached to Arn, Tully, Barry, JJ, that even though I saw things falling apart a little bit, because Jimmy had opened an office in Dallas, and he and Dusty were out there, and they were talking about making movies, and anybody could do the math and see that we were flying 2 private planes around, one a Falcon 10 jet, the other a G1. We weren't drawing west of the Mississippi like we did when we first went out there, because the saturation with TBS at that time wasn't nearly like it is now.
Mm-hmm.
We were, if we had stayed east of Chicago, they might still be in business. But
Right.
it got cost of going out to LA, taking the private jet, and then we lived life big time. But I could see the problems, but I just couldn't get myself to leave my friends. And it's not that I didn't have friends up there, because, DiBiase and all those guys were there, and I was friends with all of them. But the Four Horsemen thing was just something that was so unique, and the fact that it's still held in such high regard today. You had to be there in that time frame. We were the Beatles.
Yeah.
And then to be there with the Road Warriors and Lex and Sting and Dusty, and it was a lot for me to decide, and I probably cost myself a fortune by staying. But I look back at it now, and here I am talking to you today. And bringing up Conrad, I'm not here because of Bischoff, that's for sure. And I'm not here because of Jim Herd or Vince Russo. So, Bischoff, that, like I said to Randy, and this comes into play when I talk about Wendy. I have agreed and needed to forgive, and I needed to apologize, but you never forget.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
If I take the summation of what Jim Herd, and this is a question that I get all the time. It's funny, and I've said this to somebody else before, but I get more questions now from legitimate people. God, where would you have been if they had treated you good there? If they just treated you normally?
Right.
Or if Jim Herd hadn't made you cut your hair, which completely
right.
gave me a nervous breakdown. Or if, Eric, I listen to his show once in a while, even though it's very difficult because half of what he says is not the truth. But I listen to Conrad. I listen to Bruce, who's great, and Jim is great. I think Iron's done a good job. But they deal on facts. Eric is so far out there, he can't remember what he paid. Well, I can call Bret Hart and say, Bret, how much? And he'll tell me. Yeah. I know the story. Mm-hmm. But for him to say he can't remember the deal or it's very vague, yeah, well. right. Yeah, I flew. I took him to meet Hogan, and I sat in the car. He got in Hogan's trailer. They negotiated a rough draft of what they were going to do. They came back. Then I went and got Savage for him.
Yeah.
Bingo. And I also was there to wrestle both of them 5 times and put them both over 5 times.
Right.
Because they wouldn't work with Vader or Rude.
Mm-hmm.
You realize that Rude never worked with Hulk in the WWE.
Yeah. I think never on TV.
Never on TV, never in a house show. Yeah. Never.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, he did. It's just one of those. I mean, I know why, but
right.
I'm not going to get into that. But and then Leon, was intimidating and hard to do business with. Sometimes it depended on his mood. But Leon, a great worker, and you can't ever diminish his accomplishments in the business. And I had some really good matches with Leon. And I'll always respect his athletic ability. But in terms of getting he and Savage and Hogan and Rude on the same page, it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And it was just, everybody had their own agenda.
Yeah.
And because Eric's way of doing business was to keep everybody at odds. I mean, like to this day, I hope he gets this message, because I've heard him say it. Kevin Nash and I have become really good friends. Mm-hmm. And Kevin and I were friends when he came back, and then all of a sudden the next day, because that was Eric's style of doing business, to keep Hulk and Randy over here, to keep Scott and Kevin and whoever else over here, keep Sting and Luger over here, and then whatever Arn and I met, whatever we meant, which was nothing by the time Eric got through with us, just kept everybody at bay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, God forbid you be friends with everybody, walk into the cafeteria like we do with the WWE and sit down and talk. And even if there are differences, you're in a situation where you can discuss them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
With this, and with he would just go from dressing room to dressing room and tell everybody a different story.
Yeah.
So you never knew what was going on. And then I hear Kevin Nash on an interview, which, really made me feel good. He said, nobody understands Flair. He was the last traveling world champion. And what that means, and that's, I think, how Vince always sees me as respecting me. Being the traveling world champion for the NWA was it. That was the title. There was no other. From Thez to Rogers to Pat O'Connor to the Funks, Jack Briscoe, Harley Race, myself. I mean, you can go down the list. And those guys, their great work has been forgotten because of time. But Terry Funk in his day there was none better. Dory, none better. Had his own style, but at that time it was the best. And what can you say about Harley Race? You know what I mean?
Right.
So coming from that, where you traveled around the world and, whether it be Australia one night, St. Louis the next, Chicago, back at Tokyo, it was a job that everybody wanted it, but once you got in that chair, you could just see that it was everything that you would hoped it would be and more in terms of work. And prestige was phenomenal.
Right.
I used to get off a plane in Tokyo and there would be 1,500 people at the airport. I'd go to the whatever hotel they kept me away from the other guys in a different hotel just because of being a champion, which I wasn't crazy about that. I found a way to hook up with them. But I'd have a press conference with 500 people. That's what being the NWA champion was like. And the same when you went to New Zealand, or if you went to Australia, if you went into Europe, it was just, God, it's the NWA champion. It didn't have to be Ric Flair, but it was Terry Funk. I mean, so Kevin, and Kevin gets what I was and where I've been. And to have all that background and then run into a guy like Jim Herd, of all people, who was from St. Louis, realized how big wrestling was in St. Louis, which was and St. Louis was the NWA's Madison Square Garden. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. If the WWF, WWE, if the Garden was their main building, which everybody thinks of it as being, then St. Louis was our Mecca. The office there, Sam Mushnick. So, and then to wrestle there, and then to run into this guy who was from St. Louis and have him think so little of me, and like literally no respect, nothing for my accomplishments, where I'd been, just a TV manager at KPLR. And, Jack Petrie, I guess Ted said to Jack, go find somebody. And at that time, he was running a Pizza Hut, was a joke, but his actual experience was running, I think he was the station manager at KPLR, where they did Wrestling at the Chase, which, as a historian, was a very famous TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember as a teenager when you left Jim Herd and went to WWF. Just as a teenager, I was like, how could they let him go? Like that was
and here's the thing, and I'm glad we're getting a chance to clarify this. Mm-hmm. If you want me to.
Yeah.
I was at Daytona Beach, and he had promised me a new contract for a month. Mm-hmm. So he said, he called me up and said, da, 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 and started, he was very, he talked to me the way, we all talk to each other as men sometimes. Mm-hmm. He didn't talk to me as a boss. Now, Vince McMahon would never talk to me like that. And he said, you get your ass, I said, here's what I'll do. I left my family in Daytona. I said, I'll fly home, get my stuff, and I'll fly to Columbus, Georgia, and I'll drop the belt to Barry. Let's do it.
No.
Go on. I said, but I'm not going to work a pay-per-view. Doesn't matter who it is until you give me my contract, which you promised me. And it kept promising me. And he said, you'll do what I tell you to do. I said, no, I won't. As a matter of fact, I won't. I said, I'm giving you what I will do, what I won't do. I'll just quit. And he said, well, I'll send someone over to get the belt. And I said, well, you probably don't understand this because your lack of knowledge. But we put up a deposit of $25,000 for the belt. I've never gotten it back since Crockett took it over, basically. And you owe me $25,000 at interest for 10 years. Oh, F you, F you, F you. And I said, really? I said that, you know. But I mean, I realized I was standing up Barry. I was standing up Lex. But, you know, at that point in time, I had never been exposed to politics. Mm-hmm. I've been exposed to the people having to vote for the championship. But that wasn't me calling them on the phone or lobbying. I just knew that the Von Erichs and the Funks and Eddie Graham and Carlos Colon and a number of people, Sam Mushnick, Jim Barnett. I mean, there was 9 or 10 people. And I just worked hard for them. I didn't have to get on the phone and lobby. But getting the NWA title was a huge deal.
Yeah.
And for this guy to talk to me like that, I just went home and I you know, I'd already cut my hair. I mean, what do you want me to do, man? Which almost killed me. Literally, Raj. I thought to myself, how could this guy even, you know? So I bent and did that, but I just drew the line and I called Vince and he goes, oh God. So are you going to, you know, like, you're going to come this time? And I said, well, I'm not only going to come, but I got the belt. And he said, no. I said, yeah. He said, well, mail it to me. I did. Then I waited a couple weeks and I went.
Yeah.
And I feel bad that the people don't understand the whole story. I'd have been more than happy to fly over. But once I knew I gave him the belt, I knew I'd never get my money.
Right.
He had no respect for me anyway. Why would he pay me? So when I went back, I got my check for $42,000, which it was then 46 actually.
Yeah.
From Watts, and I got back, and the day I got back, Bill Watts got fired. And Ole gave me a bunch of crap about doing the job for Henning on Raw. Loser leave town. Well, what are you worth to me now? And I went, oh my God, what have I done to myself? And I just went next door to Bob Dew and said, Bob, you know, I'm here. I can turn around and go right back. This guy. And then who knows?
I did have a quick question about that SummerSlam '88, where there were talks of you facing Savage. Did they ever get to the creative, like who would go over? Because it doesn't seem like it was too early for Savage to lose, and you shouldn't lose right off the bat either.
No, let me tell you something about Vince. We never even discussed creative.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have worried about it. It was just me. I mean, I win, lose, or draw. I don't care. You know what I mean? I just want to have a good match. Yeah. And no, that never came up at all. And just like it didn't when I went up there, when I finally did go, there was no promises. I didn't say, well, do I get to wrestle Hogan?
Right.
I just said, can I be here? And he said, yeah. And he looked at me and said, look, I don't want you to do anything. We all know who you are. We all know how much fun you like to have. I'd rather have you not show people how much fun you can have. Conduct yourself the way you should at all times, you know. And I got back, I'm going to sign Earl Hebner to take care of you. Well, I went with Heenan for one weekend and he quit. And then Henning had the Lloyds of London issue. I don't know how that worked out. I was privileged to know about it, but I don't know how that finally worked out. But then I ended up with Earl Hebner, and oh God! But it's hard. It's hard not to have fun with those guys. I'm with DiBiase, Henning, Piper,
right,
Undertaker. I mean, look at the list of people that were there. Mark had just come and traveling with that elite group of people. Barry Darsow was there. Bill Reedy. I mean, the list is endless, and Terry Taylor. Just thinking of all the great people there, the Nasty Boys.
Yeah.
So I mean, he said to me, "I'm going to go young, so if you want to go back, because Watson's calling me every day, you can." And I said, "Okay, I guess I've had my time." He's giving me the heads up, so I went back, and I'm just thankful that I got another shot when they brought me back in 2001, because my legacy and my career, would be far gone from what it is today if after the Bischoff, Russo stuff, shaving my head. They were just intense. Russo, I mean, why would Russo bury me in the desert? Well, I mean, you know what he said to me? He said, "I guess you don't like me." And I said, "Why is that?" And I said, "Because I don't like Jim Cornette." And I said, "Well, I didn't know you didn't like Jim Cornette, and I don't care. What's it got to do with me?" And then, the barrier deal, I guess that was just to show me that he was the boss. Okay. And then a week later, he said, "You're going to be off for 6 months, and we're going to make this huge." 2 weeks later, he called me because Terry Funk got hurt. He wanted me to come back to work. And I just said, "No, I'm not this time. Sorry. If you want to fire me, I can go right back where I was." And should have gone. But then, when we finally went out of business, I mean, think about this. How does Bischoff lie, scam, whatever else he did? How do you empty Ted Turner's pockets? You didn't. But when Time Warner came in, they wanted accountability. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. When you did go to WWF the first time in 91, did Vince tell you, grow your hair back out, do what you want? Or was he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, "Hey, I want Ric Flair's best." But I said, "Well, can't grow back right away." It never got back to where it was, but it just, I know he didn't. He just wanted me, there was no guarantees then. He said, "I'll shake your hand. You're going to make more." Mm-hmm. The joke is, do I get a guaranteed contract? He said, "No, I'll give you the opportunity."
Yeah.
And that's what he's done. The opportunity. And when he gives you the opportunity, that's a big word. Mm-hmm. Because then you've got to pull it off. He's going to give you the tools. He's going to give you all the aids, but it's up to you, all the assistants rather. But it's up to you with the talent to pull it off.
Yeah.
It just as it is today. And I'll tell you another thing about Bischoff that sets me up. And I told Wendy this. So when Eric got hired by the WWE, and these are the kind of things that really sit deep with me. My daughter called me, who is, arguably the biggest star female in the history of the business. She called me and said, "Dad, you think it's going to affect my career that he's come to work here?" Think about that, Rod.
Wow.
And I mean, think to myself that, but my daughter, I hope she didn't remember those days that I had to go through. But it's the first thing that came to her mind. Is he going to treat me like he did you, Dad? How about that?
Wow.
Yeah, that's powerful. And that's where I get into that mode. I wasn't even sure she was aware of all that because she wasn't a day-to-day wrestling fan. But that's where you get into that fine line between forgiving and forgetting. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I said, "Why?" I never thought about it, but it wouldn't be unlike him. Mm-hmm. Because for some reason he didn't like me, and he's 1,000 different ways tried to figure it out. And like I said, I forgive, but you can't forget something like that. And
just so bizarre because, like you mentioned earlier, you helped sign Hogan, you helped sign Savage. You were a huge ratings draw. I remember that night when you returned and the Four Horsemen were there. That did a gigantic rating. So it just never, as a fan watching back then, and I just started the site, but it just never made any sense to me why you do that to one of your most loyal top stars.
Yeah, and also because I've already said this, and don't worry about the legality of it. Barry Bloom, the infamous Barry Bloom,
right,
representing both me and Eric.
Yeah, right.
Hello, is there a conflict of interest there?
Right.
Well, yeah, as he represented Kevin and Scott and everybody else, right?
Right.
So I'm like making 1/5 of what they're making.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to take that in. I mean, it just the whole thing. And now, of course, Eric doesn't like Barry Bloom. Wow. I mean, I hope I'm giving him subject for his 83 weeks. You can't tell a story. You can't tell the whole world that I was happy about Shane Douglas anymore. I can't help but listen to, if you're in a conversation about anything, it jumps up on your social media page, right? Mm. It's not like I go Google 83 weeks, but Eric Bischoff shoots on Shane Douglas and Ric Flair. I mean, give me a and you're forced to look at it just because that's human nature, right?
Right.
You can't remember how much you paid Brett. Well, should you and I patch Brett in right now? You want to hear the story?
Sure.
Yeah. Jesus, too much. Funny, Vince can remember to the dime what he paid you.
Yeah.
Harry can't remember anything.
Right.
Oh, God.
Now, Vince McMahon today is turning 75 years old. You've worked for him on and off for almost 30 years now.
39.
30, right, yes.
39 in 1990.
Yes.
91.
Yeah.
Is that 39 years? Yeah, 39 years.
Or is that 29?
29.
Yeah. My math is just tough.
Yeah, no, and Raj, I'm that old.
But
I first worked for his dad in 76.
Yeah.
My first match after the airplane crash was for his dad.
Wow.
I was there. I wrestled on the card against a guy named Pete Sanchez the night that Hanson broke Bruno's neck.
Oh.
That was that historic. I was there for that match.
Oh, wow.
And my dad got to come see me. I took him to the garden, and that was one of the few times. But I went out in New York City with the superstar. And yeah, so I've known his dad forever. His dad, for nothing else, he liked me because I dressed up nice. He told me, he said, "You look like a champion." I said, "Thank you, sir."
But, so having worked for work with Vince for that long, how has the relationship been? How has it changed? And here you are still, that many years later, still stealing the show on Raw.
Well, I don't know about stealing the show. My relationship with him has been the best. It's a whole different conversation if I tried to explain what he's done for me on an individual basis, because basically it's him and like a family effort. Like Hunter, of course, has been there through all my problems with, insecurity and lack of confidence. Stephanie, the little bit that she knows about it, because I don't talk about it as much with her as I have with Hunter. Mm-hmm. But Vince just, with me, he refuses to see anything but greatness. Mm-hmm. And he has reminded me several times in a very stern voice that I needed to grow up. And, I needed to be the person that, that looked at wrestling as a job and not just fun. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? I used to have a hard time separating the two, the Ric Flair, Richard Flair. And he's reminding me of that. He's pulled me aside. I would just say that I can text him and tell him, hey, you're the greatest, and he'll, thanks, Rick, you know. And I mean, I pretty much relate to him how I feel about him, about things. And the thing that it'll make me upset now, but he FaceTimed Wendy at least 4 times a week while I was in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with Mark Carano checking on me. Yeah, and I don't remember it because I was in a coma or real sick, but he never left my side through the whole deal.
Yeah.
And I think to myself sometimes, yeah, I know we did business, and yeah, I know, but, you know, as busy as he is and with all he has on his plate, it takes, you know, 20 or 30 minutes every day to check on me. And then, you know, it was not knowing about it, but hearing about it when I woke up and could finally, you know, comprehend what had gone on. It just, I can't put in words what that meant to me.
Yeah.
So I'd say my relationship with him is, on my behalf, my feeling towards him are very special.
Yeah.
And very personal.
When you're there now, does Vince will he still work with you and like Randy on segments, or does he just kind of stay back and let you guys do your thing?
Well, he stays, you know, the way it is now. I haven't been in the Amway Center with him. Of course, I've worked that building a lot, but they are really strict about the quarantine. In other words, the way the locker rooms are laid out and that, because of the smaller facility. So if you want to see Vince, I have to walk all the way back into a building that and an office, which I've done twice, that likely he and Bruce would be the only two, Bruce Pritchard, in that particular room. And has he come out? I'm sure he has, but I've not been privileged to see it. But everybody wears a mask. It's a fine and a half. I mean, he trust me, he'll fine you. He knows that he's you know, going to be scrutinized, because we get scrutinized like no other sport. But it's because the guy is a leader. Yeah. He doesn't, you know, he's going to continue to lead, and, you know, like last night as promised, and the whole thing with the Thunderdome, and I mean, it was like working in front of a live crowd. I mean, it was tremendous. And I think, I mean, you watch everybody in the next couple of weeks, are going to say, man, I mean, you're watching the NBA game, nothing going on.
Right.
You turn on SummerSlam, everything going on.
Yeah.
And that's all him and Kevin Dunn and whatever creative people have input. But yeah, I have seen him, but no, he does not come out and walk through the segments and stuff like that. He hasn't with me, Randy. But of course, you know, the message is carried back and forth directly with Bruce, and you know, he just kind of gave us an outline, and he knows me that I have a hard time not being emotional, because I do feel I'm so passionate about this, and it's just one of those things I can't let go of the wrestling. And surprisingly enough, my daughter is having the hardest time sitting on the sidelines right now, healing.
Right.
She's got it so bad right now, and that she's not as bad as I am, but she will be after a couple of years. Yeah, she loves being part of everything, and you know, to see her develop at the level she has and just blow right by me and everybody and set the bar so high has been, you know, a thrill for me. And I think it's a real thrill for both Hunter and Vince and Stephanie to see her climb like that too. I mean, you think that's a possibility, but for it to come to fruition,
right,
and become that great it doesn't happen very often, you know?
Absolutely. How is she doing with her recovery?
She's fine, but this time she knows, and the doctors have reinforced it. The doctors, her personal physician and the company doctors, that she can't hurry the process. Otherwise, you're going to be right back, and with the stuff that she does and the moonsaults and the way she lands and, taking knees and everything, she's got to be 100%. And she will be. But boy, I mean, I'm looking at the landscape now and the other girls that have gotten the opportunity, like Mandy and Sonya and, Asuka, of course, Sasha and Bailey. I mean, and now, who else has come up? Anyway, there's a number of them that are
right.
Have gotten more opportunities, and the depth chart. Shayna's up and running now, and I mean, I think she looks and goes, my God, there's so many great opportunities in terms of matches going forward. So when she gets back, the roster will be thick. It'll be deep, and you could sit there right now and write down 3 matches that you'd want to see with her.
Right.
I can write down 5 because I have to think about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So she'll be fine. Just has to be patient and heal. You know what I mean? It's like the rotator cuffs. You got to let those heal. You got to let the knees and.
Right.
And I got to remind her sometimes, like Seth was off for a year. She's not going to be off a year by any means, but it's not the end. You come back and you just need to heal, and she'll be great.
Yeah. How does it feel just being a part of this chapter of Randy Orton's career? Because we had mentioned earlier, Randy Orton, I feel like this has been a banner year for him. He's never come across as a bigger star. He's been awesome. Mm-hmm. And for you to be a bit, a part of that storyline, what is that like, someone you've followed for so long?
Well, it's huge. I mean, basically I had been doing, when people would ask me who I thought was the best performer, I was saying that a year before it. Because I felt like Randy. I used to tell him, when you want to be, you're the best. When you feel like, when you get up in the morning, because nothing's changed. He's always had that phenomenal gift athletically. He's got that once-in-a-lifetime look. I mean, he's the perfect, and he's a great heel. Just, but that's kind of his personality. He keeps to himself, just the opposite of me. He's not loud, running around, raising hell. But he has really found his niche. And I think that being so happy in his personal life has made him realize that where he's so comfortable at home, and so what he is with Kim and the kids and all that, that he can go to work and just focus on work.
Yeah.
Problems at home can be a huge distraction when you're trying to be a perfectionist and trying to be good at what you do. So I think hand in hand, his personal life is at a very high level, and his work is second to none.
Yeah.
He's just fabulous right now.
Do you think that the backslide finish, do you think that was an homage to you and Kerry Von Erich?
No, but it was, what it was? It was done in such a chain of events and excitement that it fits in. And the problem is sometimes just a plain wrestling move is better than jumping off the top rope or getting suplexed off. I mean, all that, which they had in the body of the match. But when you get beat with a wrestling move where you're both back up on your feet, nobody loses, everybody gains.
Yeah.
Especially the audience.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I thought, and it keeps, it's not predictable when you,
it's funny. I was watching it with my wife and a friend of ours. And when he backed up for the claimer, it said he's going to duck the claimer and RKO him. And they faked me out. And it faked me. I mean, they did another false finish and moved in the backslide, 1-2, and out of there. Yeah, with Kerry, his finish was the claw. And I certainly would have done the claw, but the match before was the 3 Von Erichs against the Freebirds.
Right.
They were clawed out.
Right.
And I wanted to make sure we could do something that he could execute that late in the evening. So yeah, no, God, what a great story that is. What a terrible loss with the minor X, not changing the narrative, but
right.
Yeah, but that's how we came up with that. I just said, I looked at Mantell and I said, we're just gonna do something that we know can be slick and easy.
Mm-hmm. And
he goes, you could get beat in the backside. I said, I can get beat with anything. You'd be surprised. Right. Just get the checkbook out.
I did want to ask you, do you see yourself returning to WWE TV soon? It does seem like that part of the storyline is still a little unresolved.
Well, God only knows. I want to come back, but to be honest with you, Raj, I think that they, I don't think, but yeah, I've never been told this, but I have in so many words. I think they worry about my health issue. Mm-hmm. I mean, even though I have fallen down, I went skiing, I did all that just to show them that I could do all this. I think the bigger issue that my heart was, I had that blood clot that I'm off blood thinners, and mm-hmm. How I'm still alive. We don't know. We haven't figured this out yet, but I've donated my body to Duke University mm-hmm. for study. No, my wife tells me I'm giving it to Gainesville. Yeah, they want to start here and work down. What the hell makes this guy tick? No, I just I just think that it's a health issue problem. Certainly they would let me. I would love to manage really Randy all the way through this. I could forgive him. That's what I need me to do to get back on TV. I could say, Randy, to me, if I'd have him go back and say, Randy, I think you needed me last night. But since they haven't flown me in yet today, I don't think that's going to happen.
Right. Well, it was, yeah.
Go ahead. I really think that last night made McIntyre. Randy really made McIntyre. I mean, McIntyre's work was right on, spot on too. But you know how you just say sometimes, we've got two heavyweights slugging it out. I mean, it was solid. There was no air, and they both. I mean, they must have gone 40 minutes last night. How long?
Yeah, it was definitely over half an hour. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I just can't think of, man, they're not stopping. They're not no rest hold. They just kept boom, boom, boom. And, people look back and say, oh, that's easy to do. It's not easy to do. Yeah. And they told a great story and no outside interference, which I loved. Mm-hmm. Nobody running down. I mean, it's a championship match, and they had a winner.
Yeah.
I can't, I don't know whose idea that was, but to me, it was the right thing to do. And, once in a while, a wrestling hold you can win a match with.
Right.
It doesn't have to be, something that was found in Lucha Underground. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, and like I said, the girls had a great match. Seth and Dominic, and then Bray and Braun, and then they have the rock star come out at the end,
right?
And kick ass, and so that I think that's great. They did it. He did it to both people, because then, with Roman, you want them to have the opportunity to figure out which way they want to go with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there were a lot of people who thought he had turned heel last night. I didn't pick up. I didn't get that. But when you were watching that,
he came out and he did everything. Thank God he was hitting Strowman hard with the chairs, mm-hmm. because anything else, with this kendo stick stuff and that, mm-hmm. he laid him in. And Braun's a big, strong guy. He can take that.
Right.
But then he got in the ring and speared. I mean, I thought it was great. He said, "Hey, I'm here. I don't care which one he's got the belt. I'm going to get it."
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that was a great way to bring him back.
Absolutely. I thought it was fantastic. No, Rick, I mean, this is an honor as always. Just 3 years ago,
thank you.
The whole wrestling community was, just so worried, and then here you are, you're looking great. You're killing it on TV, and we're just it's so great to see you doing well.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago last Monday.
Yeah,
that they went into. I've been told that Vince walked into the meeting a week ago yesterday. Was it a week ago yesterday?
I think so.
Yeah, on the 11th. Yeah, it was the 11th. That I went in on Friday and they operated on me Monday. It took them that long to get me ready. And they said Vince walked into the meeting and said, Flair's got a 20% chance to live. That's how we're starting today. So, yeah, I mean, it's funny. I just saw a doctor last week. They'll tell me stuff after the fact because they don't want to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
That told me that when I got out of the hospital, he would have given me 6 months to live.
Yes.
So.
But because I have to.
Oh, yeah. They have Wendy's over here saying, I saved you. She did. Hey, Raj, you have no idea. I had no Yeah, I did. I know I had a stoma. You know what a stoma is, right?
What?
A stoma? It's
no.
It's attached to your intestine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's nothing pleasant.
Just my perception.
I didn't even know that I had that.
Oh, wow.
Until I got home to Wendy's house.
Jeez.
After being in rehab, learning how to walk again and everything, somehow I missed that I had that. They were changing it like crazy, but when my memory was so gone, I didn't even know I had it.
Yeah.
Until I got home, and I looked around, and I was still hooked up to an IV, and Wendy was bringing me a glass of Gatorade. And I said, "Where the hell am I?" You're finally home, honey.
Well, thank God for Wendy.
Yeah. No, listen. No shit.
Yeah.
Thank God. It's just a minor way of putting it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's great seeing you doing well. Also,
thank you.
The Ric Flair shop, people could get all their Ric Flair gear, shirts, masks, just everything. RicFlairShop.com. Definitely check it out. A lot of really cool stuff up there.
Thanks, Raj. Where are you at?
I'm in Denver, outside of Denver.
Oh, you're in Denver.
Yeah.
You got up early today.
Yeah. It's the day after SummerSlam, so I've been up for like 5 hours.
I took Wendy's family. Her kids had never been to Vail.
Oh, nice.
Last Christmas. We'll probably go back this year. They enjoyed it that much. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife, my 2 daughters, we go to Vail every couple months, pretty much.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, God bless you, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Much appreciated, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.